OUTTAKE ESL. This is Sean. What I want to look at today is a lesson or a presentation I did for my 7th grade class based on appearances or describing people. But, in communication, I kind of find it's better one word is better than two. So I chose the word appearances, or in Chinese, as you see here, Wei Mao, to discuss this topic. Very common in most English classrooms. So I begin my day out with this slide here. Good morning, good afternoon, Mr. Sarda, depending on what time of day I am teaching. And I introduce a new game. This game is one I call Bottoms Up. And Bottoms Up is this game here. Well, it's a very simple game. It's kind of how I do rewards. Usually I'll open the day and say, I'll have my class list there, and I'll say, good morning, so and so and so. Expect them to say, good morning, Mr. Sarda, in return. And on these cups here, you have numbers. I have the numbers on there. It's a basic game. I needed a quick game. I was a little bit worried about this game just because it requires that I have to actually kind of go and I have to go up to the student, so it requires a lot of walking. But I feel, if you kind of manage when you want to use the reward system, it works out fine, I found. It's a very simple game. It's based on the Chinese tradition of ganbei, of drinking. Usually it's kind of their salute, their salutation to each other, or their cheer. So what you do is you just go up to the student and say, pick a cup. I usually have to do this because very often when I try and look under there, I get on the ground even sometimes. So you do this. And they pick a cup, and they can pick a cup, and then you say, all right, 1, 2, 3. All right, so then he gets 1, and I get 4, and in this case, I have winner wins. So if you got the 4, you're the winner. The higher number wins. Point for your team. I also do a variation where loser wins. Okay, so if you get the lower number, you win. So just kind of have fun with it. So I'll start the day off with a couple, maybe 5 or 6 students. I'll just say, good morning, so-and-so, and expect them to say, good morning, Mr. Sarda. And if they get it correctly, we'll play the game. Just introduce it. I do review a few of these here. I just kind of, I've removed the English translation at this point, and I'm just putting up the Chinese words and expecting them to give me the English translation for it. And also I'll do maybe 2 of these. Usually I make sure, maybe I'll do this one. What does this mean? What does this mean? Please sit down. Very good. 1, 2, 3. What is this one? No eating, no drinking. Very good. In class. But I always make sure I kind of touch base with this one here. Well, what is this one here? It's the most important one in an English-speaking classroom. Once again, I also kind of show them what I mean by these rules, so I can use these hand gestures whenever I want them to focus on something. And as I said before, I'm in the practice of doing a phonics sort of lesson at the outset of every one of my classes. So here I've chosen some consonant sounds. Take a look at some letters. So I got a letter, and I'll say, what's this letter here? And I'll say R. What's it sound like? It's er. And here I'm drawing actually the diagrams of the tongue on a blackboard. So I'll have my 4 letters, and I'll have draw diagrams. I tried to find some of the problematic letters that I found in Chinese, in learning English language, if you're Chinese. And I've also kind of focused on some letters that kind of have the similar tongue position or mouth position. So as in rice, make sure they got their tongue kind of hooked. Letter L, the sound is O, as in lake, good. Letter N, and I also chose the letter N and G because we're going to be looking at that diphthong later on in this lesson, and also the suffix ing. So I wanted to first kind of just do the letters N and G. What's that sound? As in nine. G, g, as in glue. So I tried to choose some letters that, might be like a word like glue might be a little challenging, lake might be a little challenging. But I also tried to use some words like nine and rice that they also are going to know. And then we do this exercise here. It's part of my phonics lessons. It's just kind of saying the word. I use the sound, the phonics symbols, and I expect them to kind of sound the word out for me. I'll point out the vowel here. I'll say, okay, that's the short ah. And who knows what the word is? Pretty good at it at this point. I find that they're really kind of they picked up on it. The short, so it's eh. And that's the long, so it's oh. This is the long, so it's a. And the vowel is short here, so it's long, so it's a, I. Long here, so it's o. So, oh. And very often what I will have the whole class repeat after I find maybe a student who gets it correct, play the game, or before I go out and do the game with the student, I'll have a whole class recite o, z, o, z, o, s, os, no. So we'll just kind of go through it with the sounds, and then we'll blend it together. And that's when now I start the discussion on the topic, the theme of today's class, appearances. I started off with a dialogue. I found a quick dialogue. This is from ESL Library.
You know Amira, don't you?
What does she look like?
She's tall and thin, and she has long brown hair.
How old is she?
I'm not sure. She's in her 20s, I think.
Oh, do you mean Amira from the bookstore?
Yes.
Yes, I know Mira. She's very pretty.
And all these illustrations and all all of these illustrations, most of the illustrations I try and use, as I've said before, from ESL Library. But what I'm doing is making combinations, and the slides are all my creations, and maybe I'll add them with some other.
You know Amira, don't you?
What does she look like?
She's tall and thin, and she has long brown hair.
How old is she?
I'm not sure. She's in her 20s, I think.
Oh, do you mean Amira from the bookstore?
Yes.
Yes, I know Mira. She's very pretty.
All right, so now we've heard the full dialogue. Maybe I'll just listen to it once, and then I'll kind of break it down. We go through each one.
You know Amira, don't you?
You know Amira. And right now I'm kind of hoping that they can repeat it without me having to show them the language. If I find they're having trouble, then I'll show the language and do it myself. But really I want them to just kind of listen and repeat.
What does she look like?
What does she look like?
She's tall and thin, and she has long brown hair.
How old is she?
I'm not sure. She's in her 20s, I think.
Oh, do you mean Amira from the bookstore?
Yes.
Yes, I know Mira. She's very pretty.
Okay. So we go through the dialogue and just kind of get them familiar, give them an idea of what we're going to be trying to talk about. And this exercise, and here I have the questions from the dialogue that I want them to answer. So the answer, 10 seconds. Who knows what was the question? What was the question? What's your name? Who's in front of me? There it is. I try to use the question from the dialogue. I think I use those the first two there because I want to refresh their memory between the pronouns. All right. What does she look like? I try and say a very important question here because we're going to be talking about appearances. And we're talking, so what do you look like? Very often we describe body parts. So I go through and do just kind of extra. You can tell me what this is. Face, and this, nose, What's this? Hair. Ears. And mouth. And here I decided to make it just, kind of a distinguish lips from the mouth, just because in their textbook they made that distinction, and I wanted to kind of sort of include it here because they were talking about lips were thin or lips were fat. So I decided to include it here. Otherwise, I think it's a little bit archaic. People usually don't describe people's lips. We talked about some of the body. This is the body. And they thought that was very funny that it was almost naked. So I would cover it up with an eraser or something. What are these? These are arms. What are these? Hands. What are these? Legs. What are these? Feet. What are these? All right. So then I want to kind of do some of the adjectives we use describing those body parts. They're not always the same. So I say, okay, what are these? These are legs. Now would I say they are wide legs? They are round legs? Or long legs? When we describe legs, what do you think? Wide, or round, or long? Long leg, yeah. No, you don't say round leg. Body. Let's see, when we talk about body, do we say curly body? And this is something I'll draw on the board because they're not really familiar with this word. But it is in their textbooks. Is it a thin body? Or do we say a long body? No, we describe a thin body, or the opposite, fat. Hands. Do I say small hands? Do I say tall hands? Would I say round hands? Small, big, and small. We'll talk about hands. How about ears? Can you say big ears? Can you say fat ears? People say short ears, big ears. These are mostly 7th grade, tall, short, fat, thin, big, small. I've done a lot of these adjectives. They start learning those adjectives in, pretty early. I've already done a lesson on opposites, and for the second grade last semester, and they were certainly learning those words there. So I felt the idea is here just kind of what is the collocation here. When I say straight body, light body, or thin body, thin. This one I actually pulled out because it's repetitive. Eyes. We say long eyes, or thin eyes, or big eyes. Big eyes. Turn the volume down there. Down a little bit. Face. Square face. Short face. Curly face. Hair. Fat hair. Wide hair. Straight hair. Alright. So if we're just talking about hair, and here I'll probably refresh them, say straight hair, or short hair, or long hair, or straight or curly hair. But we also usually talk about the color of your hair. And so I go through the colors here. I have black, brown, white, blue, blonde, gray, green, purple, and red. Really the only important one you need to sort of focus on is blonde as a common expression for yellow hair, basically. And so I just go down and say, this is just kind of a quick exercise, I have black hair. Similar exercise. The winners, the green check marks, we can play the game. Just kind of get them to just think about using that expression when they're talking to maybe describe the body and the color of the hair. And then I have this exercise where I'm looking for matches. So maybe they'll say, I have small hands. Yeah, match. All right, it's a game. Or I have gray eyes? No, hair. I have gray hair. There's a match. I have blue eyes. I have short legs. And it's important here that sometimes they'll flip-flop it. They'll say eyes blue. But you want to get them to start thinking about the collocation, how you describe what adjectives go with what body parts and the order, the adjective and the adjective and the noun. So we got a couple of these exercises here. Go to the next one. This was pretty fun. We had some fun with this one. So round face. Yeah, and I tried to make the illustrations represent that. I have a big nose. I have green eyes. I have blonde hair. I have big ears. I have long arms. I have short legs. I have small feet. I have fat lips. No, I have a fat body. Fat body. I have big hands. Big hands. I have thin lips. I have an ugly face. I thought that was kind of funny.
Hello.
All right, in this exercise here, it's kind of similar to an exercise I do in my other classes. I have these cards here, and maybe I'll pick one of them. I'll say, all right, try and figure out which one I have. I'll have all the cards here the same as the girls that I made, and I'll pick one of these cards and say, all right, try and find out which one is this one. Which one is it? Do you have brown hair? Yes, I do. Do you have green eyes? No, I don't. You are A. You are A. This exercise I actually decided to skip because even though I went to all the trouble making all this stuff, I decided to skip it because I was running out of time, and I just kind of felt I just didn't want to. I didn't feel like it was going to be that productive, and I felt that it was going to take too much time. So I have 3 different variations of that. Cards made for all that. Give them cards. Try and figure out which one I am. See, I got cards here. Cards. Different cards for all those. It's a good exercise. It's just I didn't feel I wanted to do that. I wanted to move on to maybe use this better. Second chats, boom, just pick. Since I have my word list, my name list, I can just pick a student and go, okay, give me a sentence. I have blue eyes. Cups. This usually got me to the class. Hair, has, have, I, live. And I also have a rock, paper, scissors role play. I actually got to do it with a couple classes. So what I would do is pick 2 students, or I would work with a student. I would say, do you know, I'd pick somebody in class by their name, and then I'd say, hey, do you know blah blah? And they would say, no, what does he or she look like? He is tall and thin. What color is or are there what? Eyes or hair? They have black hair. Yes, I know him. No, I don't. They get through it. Do this here. Try it. And that's the end of the first lesson. So that will be 1 week. The next following week, we'll take a second look at it and do a little more. Start the day off. Good morning or good afternoon as usual. Maybe review 2 more rules. Then the game we're going to do. Say hello. And we go into consonant sounds. Here I tried to do some diphthongs here. Here I did the diphthong of ng. Very important. Ng. As in wrong. But then I added this in here because it's so commonly that they will see this ng with the I and the suffix ing. So ing. And here I have eating. I didn't want to make the phonetic symbol for it. I just kind of used the letters to represent here, so it wasn't too confusing. We'll just kind of go through our common exercise. Here I'll point out the vowel. A couple of them I don't point out the vowel, like here. because there's a long and technically there is a short with the I and the ing and U, so the vowel doesn't come into play. I've changed that for future lessons where I take the whole vowel section out. Long, ring, ping pong, swing. Ping pong's great because it uses both of them. Song. And these are different, some of the illustrations I had to sort of assemble. It's always kind of time consuming when you have to create an illustration from elements. So like back there for song, I had to find somebody singing, so I used the illustration for singing, and then I used the illustration for stationery, and then I used the illustration for music and put them all together through Photoshop. And it's pretty time consuming just to make that one illustration. So we have a new dialogue here, and I thought this was really important if you're going to talk about describing people. Like, it's good to know this dialogue in terms of finding somebody. So we listen to this.
Where is Rora? I don't know. Excuse me. I'm looking for my little sister.
Okay, don't worry. What's her name?
Her name is Rora. She's 6 years old.
What does she look like?
She has short curly hair.
What is she wearing? She's wearing a pink shirt and blue pants.
And she's wearing a white cap.
Okay.
Rora!
Alright, so kind of this one I found on, this is a video from YouTube. I think it's Sing Sing. And I decided to use it as a description.
Where is Rora?
I don't know.
We go through it line by line.
Excuse me. I'm looking for my little sister.
Okay, don't worry. What's her name?
Her name is Rora. She's 6 years old.
What does she look like?
She has short curly hair.
What is she wearing? She's wearing a pink shirt and blue pants.
And she's wearing a white cap.
Okay.
Rora!
And here I'll point out there's Aurora. What is she wearing? She's wearing a white cap and a pink shirt. I figured in this second half it was important to talk about, if you're describing people very often, if you're going to describe color of their hair and their eyes, let's talk about their clothes, because very often that's the description you're going to be using. Once again, this repetition is very useful, I feel, in a classroom where you're using similar activities, exercises, they're familiar with them, and you can go through these exercises a lot quicker, and they're thinking a lot quicker about what language they should be using. 6 years old, how old is she? I did a little bit of variation in the answers here, just to kind of catch me maybe a little bit off guard. It's just questions are the ones from the dialogue, though. What does she look like? Try and stress that's an important one, and I try and stress this is our important questions for today's lesson. So what do they look like? We're talking about describing missing people. So I have, they are tall, thin, short, fat, and have brown, black, blonde, or gray hair, right? So what I'll do is I'll start off here with they are, and I'll say, all right, this class, this team over here, what are they? They are so-and-so. They are short. And over here, what do you say? They are fat. I'll give the, maybe want to make it a little bit more competitive. I'll maybe do 2 for each side. You can put 2 choices. And it'll be the answer. So they are fat. And they have what color hair? What color hair? Brown, black, blonde, or gray. Let me show it. Same thing. A few exercises here. What do they look like? They are short, and they are young. No, they are old. And they have, what color hair? They have black hair, they have white hair. And they do have white hair. Alright, very good. Very good point there. Play the game. Another exercise here. Let's do it with them. I originally did it with the both of them. They are this and have and I think that was a little bit too difficult. So I think it's better to maybe just split it in half. Do the first part, they are such and such, describe their body, and then describe their hair. This is kind of also a review of the language we were using last class, so that's why I kind of threw it in there. Similar exercise, also did cards for all these. Is she so-and-so? Does she have? This I also, once again, I skipped over it. I think one of the reasons was because they were just kind of throwing out, they were just throwing out the letters, all the time, and they weren't catching on to using this, is she or that. I didn't think it was very productive. But this was, back to this, what we were talking about, what they were wearing. I wanted to kind of focus on clothes and different, using their color adjectives again. So what are they wearing? They're wearing a blue hat and a white t-shirt. All right, very good. So, again, they're wearing a red hat and a blue t-shirt. All right, very good. They're wearing a pink hat and a red t-shirt. No. They're wearing a pink hat and a black t-shirt. There you go. And here I tried to throw in some different clothing also, maybe, and I tried to make, most of this should make sense for the most part. Like they're wearing a black hat and a yellow dress. Right? You wouldn't wear a yellow dress and blue pants. Here I decided not to say jeans just because I didn't feel they were going to quite remember that. It was really about saying pants. I was fine with that. They're wearing a white t-shirt and blue pants. They're wearing a red hat and a red coat. I tried to make the fashion even kind of make common sense, just, really basic fashion choices. Sartorial. Like my name. Here it was kind of difficult because I added in here a scarf and gloves. Since I'm in the south of China, you don't really see a lot of this clothing, so they weren't that familiar with it. If there's something that's kind of new, something that goes on the board, the blackboard. That's when I use the blackboard to write the word down. So say black hat and black hat and black pants. No, purple shirt, black pants. Yeah. Black hat and black t-shirt. There you go. Blue coat and gloves. A green dress and a scarf. And the last role play here, and here I got to this a couple more times, just in terms of time. And I I'm trying to wrap it all up and use all that language and have them have a dialogue, either with me. Ideally, you would have it between two students, but sometimes it's a little bit easier if you just do it with me and you try and do as many students as you can, touch base with as many students as you can. 10 seconds class. This is always just kind of a thing I throw at the end. It's kind of basically something I can format very easily. I can use that language that we've been using, and it's effective. They got to get some of the sentences. She, hey, and that's the end of appearances. A couple other things here. This is a game I call Gridlock that I was originally going to use. I'm going to save it for down the line now. What happens in this game is I'll draw a grid of the alphabet, the squares for the alphabet, and then as instead of the reward will be, okay, you need to say a word with that letter. If you say, okay, cat, it's locked, so no point. Oh, you need to say, see, apple, it's locked. No, ice, unlocked, so 1 point. If you find the unlock, I call it gridlock. If you find the unlocked boxes, you get a point. If you find the locked ones, you get no points. And I kind of try and make it even in terms of points that they can get. And that's it. Let me see if I got any other slides here. It's just kind of an extra class slide. So that's appearances. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Presentation. If you did, please let me know in the comment section below if there's anything you'd like to add to it or anything you'd like to sort of mention about this presentation or this video. I sure would appreciate it. I'll look for your comments. Otherwise, I'd really appreciate it if you click like and subscribe. Let me know this content is getting out there and being seen and is useful. Well, that's all for OUTTAKE ESL. This is Sean, and we will talk to you later.